I hate my adopted sister. The birthday cake was still smoking from the blown-out candles when I walked into the garage and found Maya with her hand on Jake's chest, whispering something that made him step back so fast he knocked over my dad's toolbox. What the hell? The words came out louder than I meant them to, cutting through the muffled party music from inside. Maya turned around with that same innocent smile she'd been perfecting for 2 years, ever since my parents adopted her when I was 15 and she was 13. Now here we were, me 17 and supposedly the mature one, catching my sister trying to kiss my boyfriend of 8 months at my own birthday party. Oh hey, birthday girl. Maya's voice had that sugar-sweet tone that made my skin crawl. Jake was just helping me look for more ice. Wasn't that sweet of him? Jake's face was red, and he couldn't meet my eyes. Cass, I swear, I just came out here to get away from the noise for a second and she... He what? He asked you to follow him out here. Maya's eyes went wide with fake confusion. Jake, that's not what you said inside. You said you wanted to show me something private. I felt something snap inside my chest. This was it. This was the moment I'd been dreading for months, watching Maya chip away at everything good in my life piece by piece. First it was my friend group, somehow she'd managed to become the center of attention every time we hung out, until Sarah and Emma started inviting her places without me. Then it was my parents, who couldn't stop gushing about how resilient and inspiring Maya was, while I became the difficult one for pointing out her lies. The college application incident 3 weeks ago should have been my breaking point. I'd been working on my essays for Stanford for months, and the night before the deadline, every single file disappeared from my laptop. Maya had been using it earlier to work on homework, with my parents' permission, of course, because sharing is what families do, Cassie. When I accused her, she cried about how I was always blaming her for everything, and my mom actually grounded me for being cruel to someone who's been through enough. I had to submit a rushed, half-finished application and probably kissed my dream school goodbye. But this? Trying to steal Jake. At my birthday party, in my own house, after my parents had thrown her a massive welcome to the family celebration just last month that was twice as big as any party I'd ever gotten. You know what, Maya? I'm done. I pulled out my phone and opened the camera. Say that again. About Jake asking you out here. Cass, what are you doing? Jake looked between us like he'd stumbled into a minefield. Maya's expression shifted for just a second, a flash of something cold and calculating that she usually kept hidden. Then the innocent mask slipped back into place. I don't understand why you're being so mean to me. I was just trying to help. Her voice started to waver, right on cue. I know you don't want me here, but I thought maybe we could finally be real sisters. She was good. Really good. If I hadn't been living with her manipulation for 2 years, I might have felt guilty. Instead, I felt something else entirely, determination. Because I'd finally figured out Maya's secret, and tonight, everything was going to change. I kept my phone recording as Maya's eyes filled with crocodile tears. Jake, you can go back inside. This is between me and my sister. Jake hesitated, looking like he wanted to say something, then squeezed my shoulder and headed for the door. The moment it clicked shut, Maya's tears vanished like they'd never existed. You're such a pathetic little bitch, she said, her voice completely different now, flat and cold. Do you really think anyone's going to believe you over me? My heart hammered against my ribs, but I kept the phone steady. Keep talking. God, you make this so easy. Maya laughed, a sound nothing like the musical giggle she used around my parents. Your boyfriend's cute, by the way. Not as easy as I thought he'd be, but I would have gotten there eventually. Just like I got Sarah and Emma. What do you mean? I told them you've been talking shit about them behind their backs for months. Sarah was so hurt when I showed her those fake screenshots of you calling her desperate. Emma cried for like an hour when she thought you said her art was wannabe Instagram garbage. Maya examined her nails like we were discussing the weather. It was almost too simple. They practically begged me to hang out without you. My hands were shaking now, but I'd never been more focused in my life. Every word was being captured, every confession that proved what I'd suspected for months. And my Stanford application? Please. Like you were actually going to get in anyway. Maya rolled her eyes. Your essay was boring as hell. I did you a favor deleting it. Now you can go to community college like the mediocre little nobody you actually are. The cruelty in her voice was breathtaking. This was the girl my parents called their miracle daughter, the one they told everyone had blossomed so beautifully in our home. Mom and Dad think you're this perfect victim who's finally found her place, I said, still recording. What do you think they'd say if they heard this? They'd never believe you. Maya stepped closer, and for the first time since she'd arrived 2 years ago, I saw who she really was underneath the act. I've been planning this since day one, Cassie. Every conversation, every tear, every breakthrough moment, it's all been leading to this. They love me more than you now, and we both know it. She wasn't wrong. Over the past year, I'd watched my parents light up when Maya walked into a room in a way they never did for me anymore. Every small achievement of hers got celebrated like she'd won the Nobel Prize, while my actual accomplishments, making varsity soccer, getting accepted to 3 colleges already, maintaining a 4.2 GPA, barely got a, that's nice, honey. When they threw me that welcome party last month. Your mom spent more on my cake than she spent on your last 3 birthdays combined. I looked it up, $350 from that fancy bakery downtown. Your dad gave a speech about how I'd completed their family. Maya's smile was razor sharp. When's the last time either of them said you completed anything? The recording was still going, capturing every poisonous word. But Maya wasn't done. You want to know the best part? I've been documenting everything on my real Instagram account. All my actual friends from my old school follow it, they think this whole thing is hilarious. Poor little rich girl gets replaced by the foster kid. It's like a fucking movie. My blood turned to ice. What Instagram account? Maya's grin widened. Oh, Cassie. You have no idea what I've been posting about your pathetic family. She pulled out her phone with theatrical flair, like she was presenting evidence in court. You really want to see? It's at Maya Play's house, get it? Because this whole thing has been like playing house with idiots. My stomach dropped as she scrolled through what looked like a completely different social media presence. Gone was the careful, family-friendly account my parents followed, filled with grateful posts about finding her forever home and pictures of us looking like the perfect blended family. This account was Maya unfiltered. The first post she showed me was from last week, a photo of my mom crying happy tears at Maya's parent-teacher conference where she'd gotten straight A's. The caption read, "LMO Sharon actually thinks I earned these grades, face with tears of joy. Mrs. Peterson bumps up all the troubled kid scores. White savior teachers are so easy to manipulate. Watch me get a car for Christmas while Cassie gets a gift card." 1,200 likes, Maya said proudly. Everyone from Lincoln High follows this account. They love the updates. She scrolled to another post from 3 weeks ago, the night my Stanford application got deleted. It was a screenshot of my laptop screen showing an empty documents folder, with the caption, "Oopsie. Woman shrugging, maybe don't leave your computer unlocked when your sister is feeling chaotic. Stanford was never gonna happen anyway. Reality check delivered. Hashtag sorry not sorry, hashtag foster kid wins." The comments were even worse. Kids I'd gone to elementary school with, people who barely knew me, all laughing at my misfortune like it was entertainment. Ashley Chen, who I'd helped through algebra sophomore year, had commented, "Savage. She probably deserved it." 43 likes on that comment alone. "Keep watching," Maya said, her eyes bright with malicious joy. "It gets better." She showed me a post from 2 months ago, a picture of my parents looking exhausted after one of our family therapy sessions. The caption made my chest tight, session number 8 of, "Why can't Cassie accept her new sister?" Face with rolling eyes, "These people actually pay $180 per hour for Dr. Martinez to tell them their bio daughter has adjustment issues. I literally just have to cry on cue and they eat it up. Cassie's the problem, never me. Hashtag family therapy is a joke, hashtag playing the system. How did you even get that photo?" I whispered. "Your dad posted it on Facebook with some bullshit caption about working through challenges as a family." I screenshot it and gave my followers the real story. She kept scrolling, showing me months of posts that reframed every family moment as part of her elaborate con game. There was a video from Christmas morning where I looked miserable in the background while Maya opened present after present. The caption, "Final count, Maya, 14 gifts, Cassie, 8 gifts. Blood doesn't beat a good sob story. Wrapped gift, watch her face at 023 when I get the MacBook she wanted, LMO." Another post from my junior prom, "Cassie's dress, $89 from Macy's. My first formal dance ever, dress, $340 from Nordstrom because Maya deserves something special after everything she's been through. Sparkles, I'm not even going to prom, but the manipulation practice was worth it." But the worst one was from last month's family vacation to Lake Tahoe. It was a photo of me sitting alone on the dock while Maya was in the background teaching my dad how to paddleboard, something I'd been trying to get him to do with me for years. The caption read, "Day 4 of watching Cassie realize she's been replaced. Skull Richard literally told me I'm more fun to be around than his actual daughter. Sharon keeps asking why Cassie is being so withdrawn and negative lately. Maybe because you like me better. Just a thought. Hashtag replacement child, hashtag winning the long game." 237 likes. Comments from kids at school calling me spoiled and jealous and worse things I couldn't even process. 2 years of content, Maya said, still scrolling. My followers have been invested in this whole journey. They're rooting for me. The phone was still recording in my other hand, capturing her confession, but seeing those posts felt like watching my entire life get dissected and mocked by strangers. "You're sick," I managed. "I'm surviving," she corrected. "And I'm winning." Maya tucked her phone back into her pocket, but I could see she wasn't done twisting the knife. The garage felt smaller now, like the walls were closing in around us while party music thumped faintly from inside the house. "You know what the really beautiful part is?" she said, leaning against my dad's workbench like she owned the place. "I've been building my exit strategy this whole time. Your parents think I'm so grateful, so attached to this family. But I've been getting straight A's, building the perfect victim to success story, and my real mom's been clean for 8 months now." My stomach dropped. "What?" "Oh yeah. Jennifer's been in a program up in Sacramento. We video chat every week, not that Sharon and Richard know about that. They think she's some lost cause who abandoned me, but she just had some addiction issues. She's getting her life together, got a job at a dental office, even has a little apartment picked out for when I turn 18. She said it so casually, like she was discussing weekend plans instead of the complete destruction of my parents' world. I've been feeding her information this whole time. She knows exactly how much money your parents have spent on me, the therapy, the private tutoring, the clothes, those expensive family vacations where they bent over backward to help me make memories I never got to have as a child." Maya's impression of my mom's voice was sickeningly accurate. "Jennifer thinks it's hilarious. She calls them my practice parents." The recording was still going on my phone, but I felt numb. "They love you. They think you're their daughter. And that's their mistake." Maya examined her manicured nails, paid for by my parents during last weekend's Maya needs self-care after her difficult week spa trip that cost $400. "Love makes people stupid, Cassie. Your parents saw a sad little foster girl and thought they could save me with enough organic groceries and emotional support. They never bothered to ask if I wanted to be saved. So what's your plan? Just disappear when you turn 18? Better than that." Her smile turned predatory. "I'm going to let them pay for my senior year, maybe even a semester of college. Then I'll tell them I've been struggling with feeling like I belong and need to reconnect with my roots. They'll probably cry and beg me to stay, offer to pay for therapy, maybe even let Jennifer visit to facilitate healing." My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. "You're going to break their hearts. Their hearts will recover. Besides, they'll still have you, their difficult daughter who they've been neglecting for 2 years." She laughed that cold, empty sound again. "Although honestly, I think I've damaged your relationship with them permanently. Every time you tried to tell them what I was really like, every time you acted out because of my behavior, you just proved to them that you were jealous and immature." She was right, and we both knew it. Last month when I tried to explain to my parents that Maya was manipulating them, my mom had actually said, "Cassie, I'm disappointed in you. Maya has been through trauma you can't even imagine, and instead of supporting her, you're creating more drama. I've been training them to see you as the problem for 2 years, Maya continued. When I leave, they're going to blame you for driving me away. They'll think if you'd just been a better sister, I would have stayed. The cruelty was breathtaking, but there was something else in her voice now, the kind of manic excitement that made my skin crawl. Want to know the best part about tonight? She asked. About your little boyfriend situation. I didn't answer, but she kept going anyway. Jake was never going to fall for it. He's too loyal, too boring. But that doesn't matter, because tomorrow I'm telling your parents that he cornered me out here and made me uncomfortable. That you saw it happen and accused me instead of protecting me. The words hit me like a physical blow. You're going to lie about Jake assaulting you? Not assault. Just inappropriate behavior. Making me feel unsafe. Maya's voice took on that wounded tone she used so effectively with adults. I'll say he'd been drinking, which he has, I saw him with a beer earlier, and that he followed me out here and got handsy. When his girlfriend walked in, instead of being horrified by her boyfriend's behavior, she immediately attacked the victim. My mind raced through the implications. They'll never believe. Won't they? Maya tilted her head with mock curiosity. Think about it, Cassie. Your parents already think you have jealousy issues with me. Dr. Martinez has been telling them for months that you're struggling with territorial behavior and difficulty sharing parental attention. Now their troubled daughter is dating some boy they barely know, and when that boy makes their precious adoptive daughter uncomfortable, instead of protecting her, you side with him. The recording was still going, capturing every word, but Maya didn't seem to care. If anything, she looked energized by finally being able to share her masterpiece with someone. Your mom will cry. She'll talk about how she's failed both her daughters, failed to protect me and failed to teach you empathy. Your dad will get that quiet, disappointed voice he uses when he's really upset. They'll probably ban Jake from the house and suggest you take a break from dating to focus on family relationships. This is insane. You're destroying people's lives for fun. I'm not destroying anything, Maya snapped, the mask slipping again. Your family was broken long before I got here. Your parents were so desperate to feel good about themselves, to play the heroes, that they brought a stranger into their home without thinking about how it would affect their actual daughter. And you? You were so threatened by having to share mommy and daddy that you've spent 2 years proving you're exactly the selfish, spoiled brat I told everyone you were. She stepped closer, and I could see something wild in her eyes now, like she'd been holding this back for too long and couldn't contain it anymore. You want to know what's really pathetic? I actually tried to like you at first. That first week, when you showed me around the school and introduced me to your friends. I thought maybe this could work. Maybe I could have a sister. Then why? Because you couldn't handle not being the center of attention for 5 fucking minutes, she hissed. The second your parents started paying attention to me, the second your friends thought I was interesting, you turned into this passive-aggressive nightmare. Rolling your eyes when I talked, making little comments about how I was performing for everyone, telling your mom you felt like a stranger in your own home. I remembered those conversations with my mom, how desperate I'd felt when Maya first arrived and suddenly everything revolved around her needs, her schedule, her feelings. I was trying to adjust. You were being a jealous bitch. So I decided to give you something to actually be jealous about. Maya's smile returned, sharper than before. Every friend I stole, every moment with your parents I monopolized, every opportunity one took from you, that was payback for making me feel unwelcome in the only stable home I'd had in 3 years. The garage door handle turned, and we both froze. Jake's voice called out, Cass. Everything okay out here? Your mom's looking for you to cut the cake. Maya's expression transformed instantly, tears springing to her eyes like she'd flipped a switch. By the time Jake stepped inside, she looked like a frightened 15-year-old who'd been getting yelled at. I was just trying to apologize, she whispered, her voice shaking. I didn't mean to cause any problems. I watched Jake's face soften immediately at the sound of Maya's trembling voice, and something inside me cracked. Even now, even after everything she'd just confessed, she was still manipulating the situation. Hey, it's okay, Jake said gently, taking a step toward Maya. Nobody's in trouble here. Don't. The word came out harsher than I intended, making both of them look at me. My phone was still recording, still capturing every second of this performance. Jake, she's lying. She's been lying about everything. Maya's tears flowed freely now, and she wrapped her arms around herself like she was trying to disappear. I know you hate me, Cassie, but I really was just trying to help earlier. I thought maybe if we talked alone, we could finally work things out. Cut the shit, Maya. I held up my phone. I have everything recorded. Every single confession you just made. For just a moment, Maya's mask slipped again, a flash of panic crossed her features before the wounded expression returned. But it was enough. Jake caught it too, I saw confusion flicker across his face. What confessions? He asked slowly. Maya's voice became smaller, more fragile. She's been accusing me of all these terrible things. About stealing her friends, about her college application. I tried to explain that I would never do anything like that, but she won't listen. Tell him about your Instagram account, I said, my voice deadly calm. Tell him about the 2 years of posts mocking my family. Tell him about your real mom in Sacramento and your exit strategy. Maya's eyes darted between Jake and me, and I could practically see her calculating her next move. I don't know what you're talking about. Cassie, please, you're scaring me. But Jake was watching her more carefully now. Maya, what Instagram account is she talking about? I only have one account, the one your parents follow, Maya said, pulling out her phone with shaking hands. She opened the sanitized version of her social media, the one full of family photos and grateful captions. See? I would never post anything mean about the people who saved me. Show him the other one, I pressed. Show him at Maya Play's house. Maya's face went completely white. That's not mine. Someone at school must have made a fake account to bully me. You know how cruel teenagers can be to foster kids. The lie came so smoothly, so believably, that I almost admired her skill. Almost. Jake looked between us, clearly torn. Cass, maybe we should go back inside and... No. I pulled up Maya's real Instagram account on my own phone, the one she'd just shown me minutes earlier. Look at this, Jake. Look at the dates, the details. Look at this post from Christmas morning, she knew exactly how many presents we each got. Look at this one from our family therapy sessions with Dr. Martinez. She knew his name, knew how much my parents pay him. Jake took my phone, scrolling through the posts with growing horror. Jesus Christ, Maya. This is really fucked up. Someone's been stalking our family and making fake posts, Maya insisted, but her voice was getting higher, more desperate. They've been watching us, taking our photos from Facebook and making up stories. I'm a victim here too. Then explain the recording, I said, stopping the video on my phone. 43 minutes of you confessing everything. Want me to play it back? Maya's composure finally cracked completely. You can't. That's illegal. Recording someone without permission is against the law. Actually, California's a two-party consent state for phone calls, but in-person conversations in non-private spaces are fair game, I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. I looked it up after you deleted my Stanford application. Been waiting for the right moment ever since. The garage door opened again, and my mom's voice called out cheerfully, there you are. Everyone's waiting for the birthday girl. What are you three doing out here? She stepped inside, still wearing the bright smile she'd had all evening, completely oblivious to the war that had just played out in her garage. Dad appeared behind her, carrying 2 pieces of cake on paper plates. We brought you some cake, he said warmly. Maya, sweetheart, are you crying? What's wrong? And just like that, Maya launched into her final performance. I'm so sorry, she sobbed, throwing herself into my mom's arms. I tried to apologize to Cassie for the misunderstanding earlier, but she's been yelling at me and saying horrible things. She recorded me without permission and she's trying to make me look at some fake social media account that someone made to bully me. My parents' expressions shifted instantly from confusion to concern to that familiar disappointment directed at me. Cassie, my mom said sharply, still holding Maya protectively. What is going on here? I looked at my phone, at the recording that held 43 minutes of Maya's real voice, her real personality, her real plans. Then I looked at my parents, who were already choosing sides before they'd heard a word of evidence. Everything, I said quietly. Everything is going on here. I pulled up the recording on my phone, my hands steadier than I'd expected them to be. Mom, Dad, you need to listen to this. All of it. Cassie, putting Maya on the spot like this isn't, Dad started, but I cut him off. She told me about Jennifer being clean for 8 months. About the apartment in Sacramento. About her exit strategy for when she turns 18. I watched Maya's face go ashen. She told me about the Instagram account where she's been mocking our family for 2 years. She confessed to deleting my Stanford application and stealing my friends. Those are very serious accusations, Mom said, her voice taking on that clinical tone she used when she was trying to stay calm. Maya, honey, do you want to respond to any of this? Maya wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I don't even know who Jennifer is supposed to be. And I already explained about the fake Instagram account. Someone's been stalking us, probably someone from my old school who wants to hurt me. Your biological mother, I said flatly. Jennifer Walsh. The woman you video chat with every week while Mom and Dad think she's some lost cause who abandoned you. The silence in the garage was deafening. Dad's paper plate slipped from his hands, cake scattering across the concrete floor. That's impossible, Mom whispered. Jennifer Walsh had her parental rights permanently terminated. She's had no contact with Maya for over 3 years. Maya's breathing got faster, more panicked. I don't know anyone named Jennifer Walsh. Cassie's making this up because she's jealous that you love me now. But something had shifted in my parents' expressions. Dad pulled out his phone and started typing rapidly. What are you doing? Maya asked, her voice getting smaller. Calling our caseworker, Dad said grimly. If Jennifer Walsh has been in contact with you, that's a violation of the adoption agreement. That's potentially illegal. She hasn't. Maya's voice cracked. I swear on my life, I've never talked to her. I pressed play on the recording. Maya's voice filled the garage, cold and calculating. Jennifer's been clean for 8 months now. We video chat every week, not that Sharon and Richard know about that. The color drained from Mom's face as she heard Maya continue. She calls them my practice parents. Turn it off, Maya lunged for my phone, but Jake caught her arm. Let it play, he said quietly. We stood there for 15 agonizing minutes, listening to Maya's real voice describe her manipulation tactics, her fake grades, her plans to destroy my relationship with Jake. When the recording reached the part about her Instagram account, Dad started taking screenshots of it Maya plays house on his own phone. 1,200 followers, he said numbly, staring at a post where Maya had mocked Mom's emotional reaction to her first A+ report card. All watching our private family moments get turned into entertainment. The post from Christmas morning was what broke Mom completely. She sank onto Dad's tool chest, staring at her phone screen where Maya had bragged about getting more presents than me. The MacBook, Mom whispered. You said it was the first computer you'd ever owned. You cried when we gave it to you. I did cry, Maya said desperately, her story changing again. Those posts aren't real. Someone's been photoshopping fake captions onto our family photos. It's called catfishing or whatever. People do it all the time. But Dad had found the video posts, actual footage Maya had taken of our family therapy sessions, our private conversations, our vulnerable moments, all posted with cruel commentary for her real friend's amusement. Dr. Martinez is going to need to see this, he said, his voice hollow. Our insurance has paid him over $14,000 based on Maya's claims about family adjustment issues. The recording was still playing. Maya's voice echoed through the garage. When I leave, they're going to blame you for driving me away. They'll think if you'd just been a better sister, I would have stayed. Mom looked up at me with tears streaming down her face. Cassie, I'm so sorry. We've been. God, what have we done? You tried to help someone who didn't want help, I said softly. You tried to save someone who saw your kindness as weakness. Maya made one last desperate play. Fine. Maybe I said some of those things, but only because I've been so hurt and confused. Foster kids sometimes lash out when they're scared of being abandoned again. Dar. Martinez explained that trauma responses can look like manipulation, but they're really just. Cut it out, Maya. Jake's voice was disgusted. Just stop. The caseworker needs to know about Jennifer Walsh immediately, Dad said, still typing on his phone. And Maya, you need to understand that contact with your biological mother without supervision violates the terms of your placement here. Maya's last mask finally slipped away completely, revealing something desperate and cornered. You can't send me back. I won't go back to foster care. I'm almost 18 anyway. You're 15, Mom said quietly. And you've been lying to us about literally everything for 2 years. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. Maya's chest was heaving, her carefully constructed world crumbling around her, and I could see her mind racing for one final escape route. You know what the really sick part is? I said, my voice surprisingly steady. Part of me actually feels sorry for you. Maya's head snapped up, hope flickering in her eyes like maybe I was about to throw her a lifeline. Not because of your sob story, I continued. But because you're so empty inside that the only way you can feel powerful is by destroying other people's happiness. That's actually pathetic. The hope died instantly, replaced by pure rage. You self-righteous bitch. You have no idea what I've been through. I know exactly what you've been through, Dad said, looking up from his phone. I've read every case file, every social worker report, every psychological evaluation. None of it excuses what you've done to our daughter. Mom was scrolling through Maya's Instagram posts with horrified fascination. This one from July, when we took you to Disneyland for your 15th birthday. You wrote, Day 2 of the most expensive guilt trip ever. Sharon spent $89 on my Mickey ears because I mentioned I'd never been to Disney. These people are so easy to manipulate it's almost boring. We spent $4,000 on that trip, Dad added hollowly. The hotel, the flights, the meal plan, the souvenirs. You said it was the happiest 3 days of your life. It was fun, Maya said weakly. I was venting to my friends. Everyone vents about their families sometimes. Show them the video from the hotel room, I told her. The one where you filmed Mom crying because she was so happy to give you your first real family vacation. Maya's phone slipped from her hands, clattering on the concrete. I deleted that one. Screenshot everything, Dad told Mom grimly. Our lawyer's going to need documentation of all of this. Lawyer? Maya's voice went up an octave. Why do you need a lawyer? Mom looked up from her phone, and for the first time in 2 years, I saw her looking at Maya without any trace of maternal warmth. Because you've committed fraud, Maya. The fake grades, the false claims about your emotional state in therapy, the manipulation of our insurance benefits. You're 15, so you won't face adult charges, but there will be consequences. We've also been claiming you as a dependent on our taxes, Dad added. If you've been planning to leave since day one, if this was all an elaborate con, that's tax fraud. I watched Maya process this information, saw the exact moment she realized her carefully planned exit strategy was collapsing. Her biological mother might be clean and waiting in Sacramento, but Maya would be returning to her as a documented manipulator with a file full of behavioral incidents. Jennifer's going to be contacted by Child Protective Services, Dad continued, reading from his phone. Our caseworker says any unauthorized contact during an active adoption violates state guidelines. They'll need to investigate whether she's been coaching you or encouraging this deception. Maya's face went white. She didn't know. Jennifer doesn't know about any of this. I just told her I was doing well in school and that you guys were nice to me. Then you've been lying to her too, Mom said quietly. Just like you've been lying to everyone. The therapy sessions, I said, a new realization hitting me. Maya, how many of those trauma responses were real? How much of Dr. Martinez's treatment plan was based on problems you made up? Maya slumped against the workbench, looking smaller and younger than I'd seen her in months. I never lied about the nightmares. Or the anxiety attacks. Those were real. But the family integration issues? Mom pressed. The reports about feeling unwelcome, about Cassie's territorial behavior making you feel unsafe. I had to give him something to work with, Maya mumbled. He kept asking about adjustment problems and family dynamics. So I told him what he wanted to hear. Jake, who had been quietly observing this whole breakdown, finally spoke up. What about tonight? Your plan to accuse me of making you uncomfortable. Maya's eyes darted toward my parents, and I could see her weighing whether this final lie might still work. That was just. I was angry. I wouldn't have actually. Yes, you would have, I said with absolute certainty. Just like you actually did delete my Stanford application. Just like you actually did manipulate my friends. You don't make empty threats, Maya. You follow through. The garage door opened one more time, and my mom's sister Laura peeked in. Hey, is everything okay out here? The party's kind of winding down and people are asking about you guys. Mom and Dad exchanged a look that held 2 years' worth of regret and realization. Tell everyone Cassie isn't feeling well, Mom said. Ask them to head home. We'll clean up tomorrow. Is Maya okay? Laura asked, noticing the tears and tension. She looks upset. Maya's fine, Dad said firmly. We just have some family business to handle. After Laura left, the 5 of us stood in the garage surrounded by the wreckage of my 17th birthday party and Maya's elaborate deception. So what happens now? Maya asked, her voice barely a whisper. The silence stretched for what felt like hours before Dad finally answered Maya's question. Now we call Mrs. Henderson from Child Services, he said, his voice eerily calm. And we figure out how to undo 2 years of damage. Maya's composure cracked completely. Please don't send me away tonight. I know I messed up, but I can fix this. I can delete the Instagram account, I can tell Dr. Martinez the truth about therapy, I can. You can't fix what you did to Cassie's college application, Mom interrupted, her voice sharp with a fury I'd never heard before. Stanford was her dream school, Maya. She's wanted to go there since she was 12 years old. I'll write a letter. Maya said desperately. I'll confess to the admissions office, tell them it was my fault. They'll give her another chance, right? Jake shook his head. Maya, the deadline was 3 weeks ago. Even if they believed her story, which they probably wouldn't, it's too late. I watched my parents absorbing this reality, that their adopted daughter had potentially destroyed their biological daughter's future out of spite. Dad's hands were shaking as he scrolled through more of Maya's Instagram posts. This one from last month, he said, his voice getting dangerously quiet. When Cassie got accepted to UC Berkeley. Maya posted, Cassie got into her safety school today. Sharon and Richard are acting like she won a Nobel Prize, but Berkeley takes literally anyone with decent grades. Meanwhile, I got Student of the Month and they forgot to put it on the fridge. Priorities much. Face with rolling eyes. Berkeley isn't a safety school, Mom said numbly. It's one of the best public universities in the country. We were so proud. But you didn't put Maya's certificate on the fridge? I asked, genuinely curious. Mom's face flushed red. We did put it on the fridge. Right next to your acceptance letter. Maya took a photo of both of them, then cropped out her certificate to make it look like we only displayed yours. The level of calculation was breathtaking. Maya had been manufacturing evidence of neglect while documenting our family's private moments for entertainment. Every kindness my parents showed her got twisted into content for her followers. How many people from school follow that account? I asked. Maya wouldn't meet my eyes. Most of Lincoln High. And kids from Washington Middle School, and some people from my old schools. So basically everyone we know has been watching you mock our family for 2 years, Jake said. Everyone's been seeing these posts about Cassie being spoiled and jealous, about her parents playing favorites. That explains a lot, I murmured, pieces clicking together. Why some kids at school started treating me differently this year. Why Mrs. Peterson kept giving me these weird sympathetic looks. Why Ashley Chen asked me if things were hard at home after you posted about our therapy sessions. Maya's followers hadn't just been passive observers, they'd been influenced by her narrative. Kids who barely knew our family situation had been watching Maya's version of events, believing her portrayal of me as a selfish, privileged brat who couldn't handle sharing her parents' love. The comments on these posts, Mom said, still scrolling. Kids calling Cassie spoiled, saying she deserves to be knocked down a peg, making jokes about rich girl problems. I never told them to say those things, Maya protested weakly. You didn't have to, Dad replied. You painted the target and handed them the arrows. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah, hey, saw Jake post about your party ending early. Everything okay? I showed the message to Maya. Should I tell her the truth? About why you really became friends with her and Emma? Maya's face went pale. They don't need to know about that. It would just hurt their feelings. Like you cared about their feelings when you were manipulating them. I shot back. Sarah cried for 3 hours when she thought I called her desperate. Emma stopped eating lunch with us for 2 weeks because she believed I'd insulted her art. I was protecting myself, Maya said, her voice getting smaller. You all had each other already. You had friends, parents who loved you, a whole life. I had nothing. So you decided to take mine instead of building your own, I said. Mom was reading more Instagram posts, her face getting paler with each swipe. Maya, this post from 6 months ago, you wrote update, Operation Replace Cassie is going better than expected. Sharon actually said I was easier to talk to than her real daughter yesterday. Richard's been teaching me guitar, something Cassie never wanted to learn but suddenly she's interested now that I'm good at it. Watching her scramble for attention is honestly hilarious. I remembered that guitar phase. Dad had offered to teach me when I was younger, but I'd been more interested in soccer. When Maya started learning, something in me had shifted, a desperate need to connect with my father through music I'd never cared about before. You turned everything into a competition, I realized. Even things I didn't want, you made me feel like I was losing them. Because you were losing, Maya said, and for a moment her mask slipped again, revealing that cold calculation I'd seen earlier. Your parents loved having a daughter who appreciated everything, who didn't take their kindness for granted. You'd been so comfortable being their only child that you forgot how to be grateful. The accusation hit deeper than I expected, because there was a grain of truth in it. Before Maya arrived, I had taken my parents' love for granted. I'd rolled my eyes at family dinners, complained about spending time together, treated their support like an inconvenience. Maybe that's true, I said slowly. But that doesn't justify what you did. You didn't try to teach me gratitude, Maya. You tried to destroy me. Dad's phone rang, Mrs. Henderson from Child Services calling him back. He stepped outside to take it, leaving the 4 of us in uncomfortable silence. When he returned 5 minutes later, his face was grim. Maya, you need to pack a bag. Mrs. Henderson is coming to pick you up tonight. Where am I going? Maya's voice was barely a whisper. Emergency placement while they investigate the situation with Jennifer Walsh. If she's been coaching you or if there's been any inappropriate contact, there will be legal consequences for both of you. Maya started crying again, but this time the tears looked real. Raw and desperate instead of performed. Please, she whispered. I know I screwed up, but this is the only real home I've ever had. Even if I was lying about some things, I do love you guys. In my own way. And that, somehow, was the most heartbreaking thing she'd said all night. Mom's face crumpled at Maya's words, and for a terrifying moment I thought she might actually change her mind. Even now, even after everything, Maya knew exactly which buttons to push. Don't, I said sharply. Mom, don't let her do this to you again. But Mom was already wavering. Richard, maybe we should reconsider. If Maya's willing to get real help, if she can acknowledge what she's done wrong. Sharon, she's been in contact with her biological mother for months without telling us, Dad said firmly. That's not just lying, that's a legal violation that could impact our adoption license. If we want to help other kids in the future, we have to handle this properly. Maya's tears stopped as quickly as they'd started. Other kids? You're already planning to replace me? We're not replacing anyone, Mom said tiredly. But we can't ignore what's happened here. The fraud, the manipulation, the damage to our family. What about the damage to me? Maya's voice turned sharp again. You think going back into the system is going to help my trauma? You think being labeled as a failed placement is going to make my life better? Jake shifted uncomfortably beside me. Maya, maybe if you'd actually tried to make this work instead of sabotaging everything. Shut up, Maya snapped at him. You don't get to judge me. You have no idea what it's like to be thrown away by everyone who's supposed to love you. Thrown away? Dad's voice was incredulous. Maya, we've spent over $60,000 on you in 2 years. Therapy, tutoring, medical care, clothes, activities, family trips, we've given you everything we gave Cassie and more. Money isn't love, Maya shot back. Neither is manipulation, I countered. Love doesn't involve destroying someone else's life for sport. Maya whirled on me, her composure completely gone now. You want to talk about destruction? Fine. You want to know what else I did? I'm the one who told Coach Martinez that you were struggling with family stress and might need to step back from varsity soccer. I'm the reason you got benched for 3 games in October. My stomach dropped. Those 3 games had cost us the regional playoffs. I'd spent weeks wondering what I'd done wrong, why Coach suddenly seemed to doubt my commitment to the team. I called the school counselor too, Maya continued, her voice getting more manic. Told her I was worried about your mental health, that you'd been talking about feeling worthless and unwanted since I arrived. That's why Mrs. Chen kept pulling you out of class for those check-ins. Maya, stop. Mom's voice was horrified. Why should I stop? You want the truth. I've been systematically destroying Cassie's reputation for 2 years. Every teacher, every coach, every adult who might have supported her, I got to them first with my concerned little sister act. Dad was typing frantically on his phone again. Who else? What other authority figures have you lied to? Mr. Peterson in the guidance office thinks Cassie has anger management issues. I told him she'd been getting violent at home when she was frustrated about sharing space with me. That's probably in her permanent record by now. The room was spinning. That's why Berkeley's scholarship offer was so low, I whispered. They requested my disciplinary records. Maya's smile was vicious. Bingo. Hard to get merit aid when your guidance counselor has documented concerns about your emotional stability. Jake grabbed my arm as I started toward Maya, his grip firm but gentle. She's not worth it, Cass. Don't give her anything else to use against you. Oh, but I'm not done, Maya said, riding her wave of destruction to the bitter end. You know that internship at Dr. Peterson's veterinary clinic you wanted so badly? The one that would have looked amazing on college applications? I applied for it too, told them all about my passion for helping animals heal from trauma, just like I was healing. Guess which one of us got it? I had wondered why Dr. Peterson had been so cold during my interview, why he'd seemed to already have his mind made up. Maya had been volunteering there for months, building relationships, crafting her narrative. The worst part, Maya continued, her voice drunk on confession, is that I actually hate animals. I'm allergic to half the stuff in that clinic. But I knew you wanted it, so I made sure you couldn't have it. Mrs. Henderson's car pulled into our driveway, headlights cutting through the garage's dim lighting. Maya's face went white as she realized her time was up. I need more time, she said desperately. I need to call Jennifer, tell her what's happening. Absolutely not, Dad said firmly. You've had unsupervised contact with her for months. That stops now. Maya looked around wildly, like a trapped animal searching for an escape route. This isn't fair. I'm 15 years old. I made some mistakes, but you're destroying my future over a stupid Instagram account. You destroyed your own future, Mom said quietly. And you nearly destroyed Cassie's too. The garage door opened, and Mrs. Henderson stepped inside, a tall woman with graying hair and kind but tired eyes. She took one look at our faces and sighed. I'm guessing this isn't going to be a simple pickup. Mrs. Henderson's presence seemed to shrink the garage, making everything feel more official and final. She pulled out a tablet and started taking notes as Dad explained the situation in clipped, professional sentences. Unauthorized contact with biological parent, documented fraud on social media, manipulation of educational and therapeutic services, she said, typing rapidly. This is going to require a full investigation, Richard. Maya's placement here is suspended immediately. Maya backed against the workbench, her breathing getting shallow and fast. Mrs. Henderson, please. They're making this sound worse than it is. I was just venting online, everyone my age does that. And I only talked to Jennifer because I missed her. That's not a crime. Violating the terms of your adoption agreement isn't venting, Maya, Mrs. Henderson replied, her voice firm but not unkind. And coaching you to manipulate your placement family is absolutely something we take seriously. She wasn't coaching me. Maya's voice cracked. Jennifer doesn't even know about the Instagram stuff. I swear on my life, she just wanted to know if I was safe and happy here. Mrs. Henderson looked at Dad's phone, scrolling through screenshots of Maya's posts. Her expression grew more troubled with each swipe. Maya, this post from March, you wrote, Jennifer's going to die laughing when I tell her about Richard crying during my school play. These people are so emotionally invested in their charity case. That suggests you were discussing our family with her regularly. Maya's face went ashen. That was just. I was exaggerating for my followers. I never actually said those things to Jennifer. So you were either lying to your biological mother or lying to your followers, Mrs. Henderson said matter-of-factly. Either way, it demonstrates a pattern of deception that we can't ignore. Mom spoke up for the first time since Mrs. Henderson arrived. What happens to Maya now? Where does she go? Emergency foster placement tonight, probably with the Martinezes. They specialize in crisis situations. Tomorrow we'll start the formal review process. Mrs. Henderson looked directly at Maya. Sweetie, you need to understand that this isn't just about changing homes. Your actions have legal implications. What kind of legal implications? Maya's voice was barely a whisper. The false claims to your therapist resulted in insurance fraud. The manipulation of school officials created false records that affected another student's opportunities. And if Jennifer Walsh has been involved in coaching your behavior, she could face charges for interfering with an active adoption. Maya started crying again, but these tears looked different, desperate and terrified instead of manipulative. Jennifer didn't do anything wrong. She's been clean for 8 months, she has a job, she's trying to get her life together. Please don't ruin that because of my stupidity. For the first time all night, Maya sounded genuinely remorseful instead of sorry she'd been caught. But it was too late for remorse to change anything. Maya, go pack a bag, Mrs. Henderson said gently. 1 suitcase, essentials only. I'll need to confiscate your phone and laptop for the investigation. My phone. Maya looked panicked. How am I supposed to contact anyone? You'll have supervised phone privileges at your placement, Mrs. Henderson explained. But unrestricted internet access is suspended until we can review all your online activity. Maya looked around the garage one last time, her eyes landing on each of us. When she looked at me, something passed between us, not forgiveness, but maybe understanding. I really did want a sister, she said quietly. At first. I know, I replied, and surprised myself by meaning it. Maya walked toward the house to pack, her shoulders slumped in defeat. As she reached the door, she turned back. Cassie. I'm sorry about Stanford. I really am. Then she was gone, leaving the 4 of us standing in the wreckage of everything we thought we knew about our family. Mrs. Henderson followed Maya into the house, leaving me alone with my parents and Jake in the garage that suddenly felt cavernous. The silence stretched between us like a wound. $60,000, Dad said finally, his voice hollow. That's what we spent trying to help someone who saw us as marks from day one. Mom was still scrolling through Maya's Instagram posts, her face pale in the phone's blue glow. This one from February. Sharon bought me a $200 winter coat today because I mentioned being cold at school. These people throw money at problems like it's Monopoly cash. Meanwhile, Cassie's been wearing the same ratty pea coat for 3 years and nobody cares. But Cassie, you never said you needed a new coat. Because I didn't, I said quietly. I liked my coat. But after she posted that, I started wondering if you guys thought I was ungrateful for not asking for things. Jake squeezed my hand. That's so messed up. She made you feel bad for not being materialistic. She made me feel bad for everything, I realized. For being comfortable here, for not performing gratitude every 5 minutes, for existing in the space she wanted to occupy. Dad's phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Henderson, Maya's packed. Found second phone hidden in dresser drawer. More concerning content discovered. We looked at each other in dread. How much worse could it get? Mrs. Henderson returned to the garage 15 minutes later, holding a small silver phone I'd never seen before. This was taped under Maya's desk drawer. It appears to be her direct line to Jennifer Walsh. She showed us the text history, months of conversations between Maya and her biological mother. The recent messages made my stomach turn. Jennifer, how much longer you gonna milk these rich people? Maya, through senior year at least. Maybe first year of college if I play it right. Jennifer, don't get too attached. Remember what happened with the Hendersons. Maya, please. These people are way easier than the Hendersons ever were. I own them completely. The Hendersons? Mom asked weakly. Maya's previous placement, Mrs. Henderson explained grimly. She was with them for 8 months before coming to you. They reported similar manipulation tactics, but we couldn't prove anything concrete at the time. The revelation hit like a physical blow. This wasn't Maya's first time destroying a family, it was her specialty. How many families? Dad asked. Mrs. Henderson consulted her tablet. Maya's been in 12 different placements since entering the system at age 7. The pattern is remarkably consistent: initial honeymoon period, gradual manipulation of family dynamics, then either voluntary departure or emergency removal. 12 families, Mom whispered. 12 families tried to love her. And she destroyed every single one, Jake said, his voice disgusted. But something about the number bothered me. Mrs. Henderson, Maya's 15 now. If she entered the system at 7, that's 8 years. 12 placements in 8 years means. She never stayed anywhere longer than 8 months, Mrs. Henderson confirmed. Until you. 2 years with the Chin family is actually her longest placement on record. Chin family? I asked, confused. That's us, sweetie, Mom said gently. Our legal name on the adoption paperwork is Chin Williams. Richard's mother was Chinese. The detail felt surreal. Maya had been calling us the Chin family in official documents while mocking us as Sharon and Richard online. Even our legal identity had been compartmentalized in her mind. Mrs. Henderson's radio crackled. Transport ready for minor female, case number 47291. Maya appeared in the garage doorway, carrying a small suitcase and looking younger than I'd seen her since the day she arrived. The defiant, manipulative teenager was gone, replaced by a scared 15-year-old who'd finally run out of tricks. Are you going to press charges? She asked quietly. Dad and Mom exchanged a long look. Finally, Dad answered, that's not up to us anymore, Maya. The insurance fraud, the educational manipulation, those are criminal matters now. Maya nodded like she'd expected that answer. She started toward Mrs. Henderson, then stopped and looked back at me. For what it's worth, she said, you would have gotten into Stanford anyway. Your essay was actually really good before I deleted it. Then she was gone, walking out of our lives as suddenly as she'd entered them 2 years ago. The house felt different after Maya left, like a museum after hours, too quiet and full of ghosts. Jake stayed until midnight helping us clean up the party debris while my parents sat at the kitchen table making lists of people they needed to call. Insurance companies, school administrators, college admissions offices. Stanford might reopen your application if we can prove educational sabotage, Dad said for the 3rd time, but his voice lacked conviction. Dar. Peterson thinks if we document everything properly. Dad, it's okay, I said, though it wasn't. Stanford had been my dream since middle school, but watching Maya get dragged away in tears had left me feeling hollow instead of vindicated. Mom's phone rang at 12:47 a.m. Mrs. Henderson's name flashed on the screen. This can't be good news, Mom muttered, putting it on speaker. I'm sorry to call so late, but we've discovered something that can't wait until morning. Mrs. Henderson's voice was strained. We found a third phone in Maya's belongings. This one contains communications with other teens in the foster system. My stomach dropped. What kind of communications? Maya's been running what she calls Placement 101, essentially coaching other foster kids on manipulation tactics. She's been charging them $50 for personalized strategies to control their placement families. Dad's face went white. She's been selling our family's private information. Worse than that. She's created a whole curriculum. How to manufacture trauma responses for therapists, social media strategies for gaining sympathy, playing adoptive parents against biological children. We found payment records going back 18 months. The room started spinning. Maya hadn't just been destroying our family for entertainment, she'd been monetizing it. How many kids? Mom asked weakly. 47 active clients across 6 counties. She's made over $23,000. Mrs. Henderson's voice was grim. Maya created an entire business around family destruction. Jake sank into a chair. Jesus Christ. She's been running a con artist academy. The most disturbing part is how sophisticated her methods are. She has detailed psychological profiles of different types of adoptive parents, scripts for common scenarios, even video tutorials on crying on command. Mrs. Henderson paused. Your family was her case study. She's been using footage of your private moments as training materials. I thought about all the times Maya had been practicing lines for drama class or recording herself to work on public speaking. She'd been documenting our family's vulnerabilities to teach other kids how to exploit similar situations. She filmed our therapy sessions, Mom realized. That's how she got those Instagram videos. She had her phone recording during family meetings with Dr. Martinez. We found over 40 hours of covert recordings. Maya's been building a library of manipulation techniques using your family as unwitting test subjects. Mrs. Henderson's voice softened slightly. I've been doing this job for 22 years, and I've never seen anything this calculated from a minor. Dad was typing furiously on his laptop. Richard, what are you doing? Checking our credit reports. If Maya's been this systematic about everything else. His face went ashen. She opened a credit card in my name 3 months ago. Balance of $4,200. The hits kept coming. Mom found unauthorized charges on her Amazon account, hundreds of dollars in electronics and gift cards that Maya had been selling online. My college fund had a mysterious withdrawal of $800 from February that my parents had attributed to a bank error. This isn't just foster kid acting out, I said numbly. This is organized crime. Mrs. Henderson's radio crackled in the background. I need to go, but there's one more thing. Maya's biological mother Jennifer. She doesn't exist. The woman Maya's been video chatting with is actually her older sister Jessica Walsh, who aged out of foster care 3 years ago. The final revelation hit like a sledgehammer. Everything, even Maya's escape plan, had been built on lies. After Mrs. Henderson hung up, the 3 of us sat in stunned silence for what felt like hours. The woman Maya had been calling Jennifer was actually her sister Jessica, someone who'd been coaching her manipulation tactics from the beginning. $23,000, Dad finally said, staring at his laptop screen. She made $23,000 teaching other kids how to destroy families like ours. I pulled out my phone and searched for Maya's business accounts. It didn't take long to find them, hidden behind innocent usernames like FosterFam101 and Placement Success. Maya had built an entire underground network. The testimonials from her clients made my skin crawl. Maya's crying techniques got me a new iPhone in 3 days. My placement mom felt so guilty she bought me the Pro Max money mouth face. Used the concerned about bio kid script on my foster dad, and now he's taking me to Disney World without his real daughter LMO. Maya taught me how to fake panic attacks during family therapy. Now I get whatever I want and a therapist thinks I'm making breakthrough progress faced with tears of joy. Jake read over my shoulder, his face getting paler with each comment. Cass, how many families has she helped destroy? I scrolled through months of posts, each one representing another family torn apart by Maya's systematic techniques. Kids bragging about getting their placement siblings in trouble, about manipulating their way into better bedrooms, about sabotaging family relationships for material gain. Look at this one, I said, showing them a post from last week, major win. Used Maya's Stanford strategy on my placement sister. Deleted all her Northwestern application materials and convinced parents it was a computer virus. She's stuck going to community college now while I'm at a stable one heading to her dream school next year. Thanks Maya. Money with wings. Mom made a choking sound. There are other kids going through exactly what you went through. Dad's phone rang. Dr. Martinez, our family therapist, calling at 1:23 a.m. Richard, I just got off the phone with child services. I need you to know that I've been completely deceived. His voice sounded shattered. Maya's been recording our sessions and selling the footage as instructional content. My therapeutic techniques, your family's private conversations, Cassie's vulnerable moments, it's all been turned into a training course for manipulating mental health professionals. How did you find out? Dad asked. Another therapist in Sacramento recognized my voice on one of Maya's tutorial videos. She's been teaching kids how to manufacture specific trauma responses that trigger increased placement funding. The state pays higher stipends for children with documented PTSD and attachment disorders. I felt sick. Maya hadn't just been manipulating us emotionally, she'd been manipulating the entire system financially. Dr. Martinez, I said, how many kids are we talking about? Based on the client list Mrs. Henderson showed me, potentially hundreds. Maya's been operating this business for almost 2 years, and her techniques have been spreading through foster networks across multiple states. Mom was crying now, but not the gentle tears from earlier. These were harsh, angry sobs. We trusted her with our most private family moments. We bared our souls in therapy trying to help her heal, and she was selling it all. Dad pulled her close, his own voice breaking. Sharon, we couldn't have known. Who expects a 15-year-old to be running a criminal enterprise? A 15-year-old who's had 8 years to perfect her craft, Jake said grimly. Maya didn't develop these skills living with you guys. She's been honing them since she was 7 years old. Dr. Martinez cleared his throat over the phone. There's something else. Maya's sister Jessica has a criminal record, fraud, identity theft, running confidence scams targeting elderly victims. This appears to be a family business. The final pieces clicked into place. Maya hadn't been a troubled foster kid who'd learned to manipulate for survival. She'd been a criminal apprentice, placed in our home to practice and perfect techniques that Jessica had taught her. We were never a family to her, I said quietly. We were a training ground. The final dominoes fell over the next 72 hours. By Wednesday morning, Maya's Placement 101 operation had made national news. CNN ran a segment called The Foster Care Con Artist, while local stations camped outside our house asking for interviews about the teenager who turned family destruction into a business. Dr. Martinez called at 6 a.m. with an update that made my hands shake. Cassie, Stanford wants to speak with you directly. When they heard about the systematic sabotage, they reopened your application immediately. You have a phone interview scheduled for Friday at 2 p.m. I should have felt victorious, but mostly I felt exhausted. Even getting my dream back couldn't erase 2 years of psychological warfare. The insurance fraud charges were filed Thursday afternoon. Maya's business had generated $47,000 in total revenue by teaching 127 foster kids how to manipulate therapists into diagnosing fake disorders. Each false diagnosis triggered higher state payments, money that should have gone to genuinely traumatized children. Jessica Walsh has been arrested in Sacramento, Mrs. Henderson told us during our follow-up meeting. She'd been coaching Maya since age 11, turning foster placement into a systematic con game. They've identified at least 15 families who were targeted using Maya's exact techniques. Dad showed me the final credit report that morning. Beyond the unauthorized card and Amazon charges, Maya had somehow accessed my college fund routing number and made monthly transfers to a cryptocurrency account. She'd stolen $3,400 over 8 months, money my grandparents had saved since I was born. The account was registered under the name Jennifer Walsh, Dad explained. Maya created an entire fake identity for her exit strategy. Birth certificate, social security number, bank accounts, everything needed to disappear once she turned 18. But the detail that broke my heart came from Emma, who texted me Thursday night, Cass, I'm so sorry. Maya showed me fake screenshots of you calling my art tragic wannabe garbage. I should have asked you directly instead of believing her. Sarah's apology call lasted 2 hours. She'd been carrying guilt for months, thinking I'd called her desperate and pathetic behind her back. Maya had photoshopped fake text conversations so convincingly that both my best friends had pulled away from me without ever questioning the evidence. She knew exactly how to hit our insecurities, Sarah said through tears. Every fake quote sounded like something we'd worried you might actually think about us. Friday afternoon, I sat in Dad's office for my Stanford interview. The admissions counselor, Dr. Patricia Williams, had reviewed all the documentation of Maya's sabotage campaign. Miss Chin Williams, she said, her voice warm but professional, we've never encountered anything quite like this situation. Your original essay, which we recovered from your email drafts, is remarkable. Combined with your academic record and the systematic nature of the interference you faced, we'd like to offer you early admission with a full merit scholarship. I started crying before she finished the sentence. Not just because I'd gotten into Stanford, but because someone finally believed what Maya had put me through. That evening, I found Mom and Dad sitting on the back porch, looking older than they had a week ago. Any regrets? I asked, settling into the chair that used to be Maya's. Dad was quiet for a long moment. I regret that we couldn't help her, he said finally. But I don't regret protecting you. She was never our daughter, Mom added, her voice steady for the first time in days. She was performing the role of our daughter while systematically destroying our real daughter's future. The house felt peaceful now, like we could finally breathe again. No more walking on eggshells, no more second-guessing every family moment, no more watching Maya weaponize our love against us. My phone buzzed with a text from Jake. Maya's been sentenced to juvenile detention until 18, then supervised probation until 21. Jessica got 5 years for fraud and child exploitation. I showed the message to my parents. Mom nodded once, sharp and final. Good, she said. Maybe the next family won't have to go through what we did. For the first time in 2 years, I actually believed her.